Hi, my name's Kevin Daggett. I'm interviewing Ishtyme Robinson, the founder of Mothers Against Youth Genocide. This has been a very eventful few years since we last discussed the case of your children, their loss to police violence. There's been Black Lives Matter, there's been Rise Up October, there's been all the events that have happened in Chicago as of late. So much has happened. How would you describe the status of your case at this juncture?
Well, currently, what's happening with the case with Ahjah is, since we last talked, and since the last interview, we were at a standstill with her case, in that we were trying to, first of all, raise awareness about what happened to Ahjah. We were also trying to get her story out there so that people could initially hear about what happened and help us to fight to gain justice for her. So we've been really dealing with this desire to get her story out there so that we could get justice for her, acquire justice for Ahjah since her death. We are now in a space where we are fighting still to get the video footage of Ahjah during her final moments, where she walks down the hall. You can see in her video tape that's online her walking down the hall, but you don't see beyond her walking down the hall any activity. We have been requesting from Corsicana from day one, under the Freedom of Information Act, all video footage of her final moments. We have been denied access to that particular clip, video footage of her, which they are claiming happened in their yard, and they are also claiming they had no cameras in their yard. Subsequently, we do not have any video documentation of what happened to her, what transpired with her, between her and them, once the tape goes blank. So we are in desperate need of that last clip, which they are withholding. In addition to the video footage, we also are asking for her autopsy pictures. We have been denied access to her autopsy pictures. It's a double Dutch sword these folks are playing, where Corsicana claims that Dallas Coroner's has the autopsy pictures. Dallas Coroner's office claims that they work for Corsicana. Corsicana has authority over the pictures, and we just simply can't get them. We can't get anything. We cannot get the final tape, and we cannot get the autopsy pictures. And this has been an ongoing fight for us since day one. Under the Freedom of Information Act, we are entitled to both of those pieces of documentation. And of course, they're playing Russian roulette with them, where they just simply will not release them, or they claim they don't have them. So that's where we are now. There is no statute of limitation on that we have exhausted at this point. We are still on the clock under the Freedom of Information Act. I have to say that over and over again. We are entitled to those two pieces of documentation, which are vital and critical to her case, because there is no statute of limitation on murder. And Ahjah was murdered. She was an individual with a mental health modality according to the Texas standards for jails. All of those standards were violated in her case, which places her in the category of murder. To willfully and intentionally neglect a mental health patient and not monitor her every 7 minutes, which is what their codes stipulate, is to deny her her civil and mental health rights. And that constitutes murder, especially in the case of someone with a mental health modality who is a high risk, which they knew of based on me putting them on alert. So what we need now is to prove not only did they neglect Ahjah, but they went beyond that step, beyond that boundary, and inflicted harm physically upon her. It was harm, period, to neglect her, which was initiated upon her. But in concert with that, we're talking about bruises and contusions on this child's body. which have no reasonable explanation for being there. If she indeed died from squirming on the floor in response to having a cardiac arrest, in response to ingesting cocaine, she still should not have a lacerated lip. She shouldn't have bruises on her face, on her upper torso, on her arms, her shoulders, and her lower torso. So those bruises cannot be justified or accounted for. We want to see the tape. Why are you covering up the tape? What are you hiding? And we want the autopsy pictures. The autopsy pictures reveal to us the condition of her body upon her death. Those pictures have been withheld. Therefore, we really and truly do not know, still to this day, almost 6 years later, what happened to my daughter. That's where we are, fighting for those documents.
In this season with the holidays and all that entails, how does that affect you and other family members of young people who've been lost to violence like this?
For my particular family unit, there is no Christmas. There is no holiday season. We are not afforded the privilege of being jolly and merry and having a sense of spiritedness in the midst, in my particular case, of losing not just one child but two children. Jasun Dixon, her oldest brother, who died just 6 months prior to her death, is another tragedy which we have not been able to bring resolve to, and in the midst of his loss, and subsequently 6 months later, in the midst of Ahjah's loss, which followed his, there is nothing to celebrate during this holiday season. For me as a mother, I can speak solely for me, and I can only speak for me. As a mother, there is nothing to celebrate other than the fact that I was blessed with the presence of these children in my life, and having known them and being able to embrace their spirit and to get to know them and to be blessed and ministered to by their powerful, loving spirit, which is truly what they were. I'm so grateful for that, and I will say that over and over again. My gratitude for them, my gratitude to the Creator for them being placed in my life is insurmountable. However, as a parent, you do not expect to bury your children, and so therefore my life is out of sync. It is out of balance. There is nothing to celebrate. Every day you wake up, I hear Ahjah screams every single solitary day, and there is no audio on the tape where you see her walking down the hall to her final moments. She looks up and she screams, but there's no audio, but I hear her scream because she's my child. And so I wake up to that every single morning. I carry that and hear those screams throughout the course of every single day. I go to sleep hearing those screams. They will not stop. And I know that they are ushering me forward to bring resolve to this genocidal assault upon individuals of African descent, black and brown lives, not just Ahjah, not just Jasun. So Ahjah's screaming for both of them. And it kind of is the same with Jasun, waking up to his void. He's not here. Not hearing him sing, seeing my child during the holidays, seeing my two children. Most people just have two children. Thank God I have one child left. This is unfathomable. You cannot describe what this is like. And I try not to focus too much on me because there's so many deaths of young people since her and have been since both of their deaths, that it is insidious to see this type of assault being played out upon our people. And therefore, I'm not the only mother who's grieving. So I try not to focus in most of my documentaries where I'm sharing stories about them. I try not to focus on what I'm feeling. But I'm at a place now where this is the 5th year and I'm just thawing. I have felt nothing. The pain was so intense. I felt no pain. This is the first year where I'm finally feeling pain. And at Rise Up October a few weeks ago, when I shared this story, I cried. That was the first time I cried. I literally cried in public. I have never done that because I don't want to make this about me, but I have to share from a personal space what this is like so that people can hear. what it's like to lose a child if you never lost one, and to lose two children in a 6-month proximity is absolutely murderous to the spirit, to my spirit, and to my person, beyond the scope of any words that I could possibly begin to describe. It is so painful, there are no words to describe it. The only thing that I can say is I wouldn't wish it on another person, another family. It has not only impacted me, but my son, my mother, uh, and the sad part, these kids have two parents. I'm the only parent fighting. You know, there's no love generically in this world. Very little love beyond the love of a mother that a mother has, or maybe siblings, for individuals of African descent, young people who die, and to the point where there's very few individuals fighting for these souls, for these persons who have been snatched. In most family systems, there's just the mother fighting, along with a few other family members, if that many. And so the need to love one another, and to love our community, and to love our children, and to love our siblings, and to love our nieces and our nephews. If they are a niece or a nephew that has of yours that has been snatched, get in and love. Give the love to the mother, to the deceased young person that has been gone, that you may not feel, but because they are a child of God, give them that love and help to fight for them. That's the point I want to make. There should be an outcry from the community every single day for all these young, beautiful individuals and young adults, and even older adults in some cases, that are snatched from us arbitrarily through police brutality, family violence, systemic violence, whatever the case may be. That paradigm shift has to occur where we begin to truly love and support each other of African descent to make a difference in this epidemic and this genocidal assault upon our people.
Finally, so many other stories have come to light that are similar, analogous to yours in just the recent weeks. So what advice would you give to other mothers and other family members who were experienced what you're experiencing?
I think the first thing that I would like to share with other family members is, and I keep going back and I keep driving home this whole theme about love, because I truly believe that, oddly enough, love is the answer. And I say that over and over again, and I don't mean that in a kumbaya sense. What I mean is, this is an epidemic that has hit the African American community, Black and brown lives, in epidemic proportions more than any other community. And I truly want to say that this assault is nothing new. It's an assault that has been cast upon us from chattel slavery, since chattel slavery, in response to chattel slavery. And what we have to do is look for that connection between then and now, and understand that we have always, as children of African descendants of African descent, been under assault and on the soils of North America. We have been under attack historically. And the way that we can counter this attack is not just by focusing intently on police brutality. Yes, police brutality is very much a big, major piece of this assault. However, this problem is much bigger than that. This has to do with our need to truly come together in an effort to unite and reconstitute ourselves. That means that we have to go back beyond 2015 and look at the connection that we have not really called out to the murders that we are seeing played out in the street in the streets across North America today. That this is a bifurcation of chattel slavery. It is a bifurcation of oppression. It is a bifurcation of white supremacy and racism and sexism and classism and all those tripod modalities of oppression put together. And the only way that we can dismantle this demon, this animal of genocide, is to create a united front against it. And that means that we have to acknowledge first and foremost where the brokenness and where the sickness and where the illness lies. Not only in white America in terms of white supremacy, but also in the community of of individuals of African descent that have been socialized to disconnect from our own history and our own culture, to create this brokenness in our community where these cracks in our foundation serve as an open portal of opportunity for this racist regime to come and now basically exterminate us. And so if we can just for 5 minutes not look at this as just isolated incidents of murder, but one genocidal assault upon an entire race of people, a community, and therefore, subsequently, there is a need for that entire community to now come together to counter it. I think we can make a big difference in this assault, and that's basically what I want to say. When we witnessed the Holocaust, we didn't see hashtags for Mary or Susan or David. It was simply the Holocaust. This is, the Holocaust has occurred in North America, and it must be dismantled. And so I'm saying that the same principle has to be applied to these sporadic assaults across the country of black and brown lives. This is a genocidal assault. These are not just sporadic incidents of police brutality. No. This is a deliberate genocidal assault, intentionally interjected within the fabric of North America to exterminate us from the planet. And that's how we must view this. And this is the conversation that we must begin to have in response to these murders. And so subsequently, then it is no longer just about me getting justice for Ahjah or getting justice for Jasun, but getting justice for all of the individuals who have been slaughtered. Because all of the individuals who have been slaughtered are part of my family, and they are part of my community. And subsequently, then, I have a responsibility to all of them. The preservation of their lives is just as critical and just as important and vital as the preservation of the lives of my 2 children. And so when I begin to view this assault, and when we begin to view this assault, these individual assaults as parents and as observers through that lens, we then take it to another level, where we're fighting now, truly fighting a united front. Fighting through the unification of our community, which creates a united front. And that's the only thing that's going to counter this. We cannot depend on the entire judicial system is broken. We cannot depend on this judicial system or laws that we create or counter to dismantle this assault upon us. We just simply cannot. We have to take this locus, the locus of control, this bull by the horns, and dismantle it ourselves. Outside agents beyond our own community that have no agency within the framework of our community cannot solve this problem for us. This has to come from within. And once we stop looking outside of ourselves to solve this problem and to dismantle and to counter it, truly a difference will occur. And that's what I want to say. And that's the message that I would give.